Hello, so my name is Tiana, and today I'll be discussing the book called Saving Capitalism for the Many, Not the Few, written by Robert Wrench. So, this book brings light to the issue of wealthy individuals and big corporations in America controlling the current system of capitalism by having a strong influence over the government to favor their own interests. So, this is seen where the wealthy are becoming more wealthy and the inequality between the top 1% of the wealthy individuals and average working class is dramatically increasing. So the author goes to define capitalism as a system that is structured by a set of rules where any free market requires government to help enforce these rules. He also goes to say that there are five building blocks of capitalism, which are property, monopoly, contracts, bankruptcy, and enforcement. So, where big corporations are influencing the government within these five building blocks, and this is done by offering contributions as well as funding to political parties, where policies and agencies are created to help favor them. So, with these big corporations and wealthy individuals having this economic dominance, they are becoming more profitable, and we are seeing a diminishing middle class. This is because of technology replacement, globalization with cheap outsourcing, as well as CEOs are taking a large share of the profits by investing heavily into their own shares and company, as well as cutting back on labor expenses. So the author does state that capitalism can be saved if citizens gain countervailing power. So this is most likely going to happen by a third political party voted in to change the rules of government and business that would favor the majority of the working Americans and not just the top 1%. He also provides the solution of a minimum income provided to each American every month once you turn 18, and this would let you become economically independent as well as sufficient. So I do think the book is compelling to the general reader because it does attack big corporations as well as the government. However, it does leave you hanging because it does not provide practical solutions or even an explanation of the solutions presented as to how it would help fix the problem. The author, though, is pretty much correct when he states that today's capitalism hugely favors the rich by bending the rules as well as backroom deals with the government. Also, as well, with the concept of big corporations influencing the government to make policies and agencies act in their best interests. But I do feel the author is a bit more idealistic than realistic when it comes to his solutions. In the past, he does state that the government has corrected itself to serve its citizens, but it seems it's always reverts back to favoring the rich. The author first tries to show how big corporations influence the government through quite a few examples relating to each of the five building blocks. So he goes on to state that big corporations will act in risky or even sometimes illegal behavior to make profits because they know that the funding provided to political parties will allow the government to bail them out if by chance they get prosecuted or caught. The book also goes to explain that there are many large corporations and individuals who do give funding and contributions. So I feel like the government can possibly protect an industry, but it would be very difficult to favor a specific corporation or individual. Also, if you give funding to a given party that then all of a sudden becomes not elected, it might even become then insignificant. He does focus on a consumption-based capitalistic system where there is no note mentioned on how corporations can pay attention to the environment as well as corporate social responsibility. And I feel like there could be many corporations who do care about their public image, especially in a generation where social media is so big and activity is a lot easier to come to light. The author then goes on to talk about because of the inequality between the top 1% and the average working class, say where even CEOs can earn 200 times more than their employees, citizens have lost complete trust in their economic system, and they do feel that hard work and effort won't get you anywhere. I don't completely agree with this because I think we're still seeing a high enrollment, say, into universities and colleges, where students still will work hard to get good grades and employees will work hard to get promotions. And I feel they're doing this because they still feel like they can have a bright future ahead of them. So when he goes into discussing the first solution to save capitalism, which is countervailing power, and it is in the hands of the citizens. So this is a sound concept, but there is no explanation how this will become a reality, and it's very uncertain about how or will this will come from. There has been examples in the US where a third party was available to vote for, but you do need big money to run a campaign, and you have a slim chance of winning without corporate funding. I feel the closest we came to this happening outside of an election was Occupy Wall Street. So this was a people-powered movement that spread across 100 cities to fight back against the power major corporations had, as well as banks, over the political process. I feel like if a third party would have occurred, it would have happened during this time, and we would have then seen it. The book does not mention at all any examples of citizen uprising, and I sometimes feel maybe this is because the author does know the force big corporations and wealthy individuals have cannot be stopped. I feel for countervailing power to happen within its citizens, I feel that you need to be desperate enough, and I'm not sure if citizens are like. I feel like you can be frustrated, but I'm not sure if the desperation is there. He then goes to finally discuss the second solution, which is a minimum income provided to every American that would allow them to be sufficient to live off of. But if they do want to earn more money, they can go and work to increase their living. I feel the major flaw again with this idea is it is very short on an explanation. There is no strategy discussed on how this will be accomplished or done. So I feel also my major concern is understanding where the money would even come from. You can look at other countries, say like Switzerland, who are thinking of implementing this, or even Sweden, who do have high salaries for all types of jobs, but this is financed through high income tax where you're basically paying for your own minimum wage. I feel like this could also mean less people are working with jobs being lost. There'll be less enrollment in educational institutions where this would allow knowledge and skills to being diminished, which in the long run could cause innovation to decrease. I also feel with having an income, there is more money to be spent into the economy, which would then increase demand. But I think there would be a lack of supply to meet this demand because there would be a lack of labor, and we would see prices dramatically increasing. Where then I feel we would expect the minimum income to be increased with the prices, and it would eventually reach a point where it just doesn't make sense anymore. I feel there can be a benefit in the short term, but in the long term, it might just dilute the whole process. So the book does point out a major problem with big corporations and wealthy individuals influencing the government, and I do feel the overall concept is agreeable because it is reality. It's just not something you can completely disagree with. However, the actual ideas and solutions that are provided, I feel, are the major flaw within the book because there is a complete lack of explanation as well as uncertainty of how it will be implemented, and I wish he dug into that a lot deeper. But it does bring attention to a very real issue. So I hope you enjoyed listening, and thanks for watching.